There was once a kingdom of fools. In this kingdom, both the king and his minister were idiots. In an attempt to be different from other kings, they foolishly took the decision to change night with day and vice versa. Hence, the people in this kingdom would do all their work like tilling the fields or running their businesses at night, and all would sleep when the sun rose up. Those who disobeyed were threatened with death punishment. So everyone followed this foolish practice. One day, a guru and his disciple visited this kingdom. It was broad daylight. They were surprised to find the whole kingdom asleep. As soon as the sun set, the whole town woke up and started its business. The two men were hungry. They went to buy some groceries. It was utterly surprising for them to see that everything cost the same, a single duddu. Initially, they were both happy as they could buy all that they wanted for a very nominal amount. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that it would not be wise to stay in a kingdom of fools. But the disciple didn't want to leave the place because everything was cheap there. So the Guru left the place alone and the disciple stayed on. He ate his fill every day and grew fat. One day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house by making a hole in the wall. However, when he was leaving after the loot, the wall of the old house fell on his head and killed him instantly. The thief's brother complained to the king. Taking advantage of his foolishness, he said that his brother was following his ancient trade when the wall of the merchant's house collapsed, which led to his death. So the merchant was to be blamed for his death and should hence be punished. The foolish king assured him of justice and summoned the merchant. The king told the merchant that he would be punished for having murdered the man who burgled his house. The merchant was a wise man and escaped punishment by telling the king that the wall had been built in his father's time. So the bricklayer who built such a weak wall was responsible for the thief's death and should get the punishment. The bricklayer too wisely evaded the punishment and put the blame on the dancing girl. He said that when he was building the wall, his eyes and mind were distracted towards the dancing girl. She was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling. The dancing girl was brought to the court. She gave the excuse that she had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for her. The goldsmith was a lazy fellow. He delayed the work. He made her walk up and down his house a dozen times. When the goldsmith was brought before the king, he said that he had to attend to a rich merchant's orders first. There was a wedding at the merchant's house and he was not ready to wait. That was why he made the dancer come many times to his door. The king asked him the rich merchant's name. He was none other than the merchant whose wall had fallen. So the rich merchant was summoned again. He pleaded his innocence on the ground that the jewelry had been ordered by his father. But the foolish king told the merchant that he had inherited his father's sins in the same way as he had got his wealth. Hence, he must be executed for the killing of the burglar. A new stake was ordered to be made ready for the execution. It occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was too thin to be properly executed on the stake. He discussed this with the king. It was decided that a fat man should be found to fit the stake. Servants were sent around the kingdom, and the eyes of the servants fell on the disciple who had fattened himself for months on bananas and rice and wheat and ghee. He was taken to the king. The disciple pleaded that he was innocent sannyasi and had done nothing wrong, but it was all in vain. While he was waiting for his death, he remembered and prayed to his guru for help. The guru saw everything by his magical powers. He arrived there at once to save his disciple. He whispered something in his disciple's ear. Then he requested the king to put him to the stake first. When the disciple heard this, he said that he was brought there first, and so he should be put to death first. The king was puzzled by their behavior. He asked why each of them wanted to die first. The guru asked the king to promise him that if he told him the reason, he would put him to die earlier than the disciple. The king assured him, and the guru, taking the king aside, told that the stake was the stake of the God of justice. It was new, and no criminal had ever been put on it. Hence, whosoever dies first will be reborn as the king, and the next person will be reborn as the minister. This information put the king in deep thought. He discussed the matter with his minister. The king did not want to lose kingdom to someone else in the next round of life. He and his minister decided to go on the stake themselves and be reborn as king and minister. The king told the executioners to put to death the first man who came to them, and then do the same to the second man. That night, the king and his minister went secretly to the prison and released the guru and the disciple. Then they disguised themselves as the two and got themselves executed. When the dead bodies of the king and his minister were taken away to be thrown, the people trembled to see the dead bodies of their king and his minister instead of the guru and his disciple. Everyone in the kingdom was mourning the death of their king and his minister. Later, the people begged the guru and the disciple to be their king and minister. The two agreed and changed all the old laws. From then onwards, the night was to be night and day was to be the day. Also, nothing could be got for a dudu. The place became like any other place. Finally, the guru converted the kingdom of fools into a normal kingdom. Hope you all enjoyed the story. Thank you, children.